Welcome to How I Unfucked My Life. I'm your host, Christine DeGrazia, registered nurse and founder of Calm by Intention. On this show, we bridge the gap between mindset and physiology. We're combining the raw grit it takes to change your life with the clinical science it takes to regulate your nervous system, because it takes more than just mindset to calm a body in survival mode. Let's get into today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to How I Unfucked My Life. I'm your host Christine, and today we're talking about something that I think causes more unnecessary stress and anxiety than almost anything else that I can think of at the moment. And it's decisions. And not just making them, but the fear of making them, the agony of making them, and the absolute torture of second guessing them after they've already been made. Because I think decisions and everything that comes with them are one of the sneakiest sources of stress and anxiety in people's lives. And nobody's really talking about it that way. So today we are. So let me ask you something. How long did it take you to make the last big decision in your life? How long? And how much of that time was actually spent thinking it through versus just sitting in the anxiety of having to choose? Because for most people, it's not the decision itself that's stressful. It's everything around it. It's the what ifs. The fear of getting it wrong, the weight of feeling like everything is riding on this one choice, the paralysis that comes from trying to see every possible outcome before you commit to anything. And here's what that does to you. It keeps you right where you are. It keeps you spinning. It keeps you living in your head instead of living your life. And the longer you sit in indecision, the more stressed you become. Because now you have the original problem and the stress of not having dealt with it yet. Indecision is not neutral. Indecision is a decision. It's a choice. And it is usually the most stressful one you can make. So here's the core of it. The reason most people struggle to make decisions is because they're terrified of making the wrong one, right? What if I choose wrong? What if I regret it? What if I make the decision and it doesn't work out and I've ruined everything? And I want you to sit with that for a second, because I think we have this idea that there is a right answer and a wrong answer to every decision. Like life is a multiple choice test, and if you pick the wrong option, you fail. But that's not how this works. Most decisions are not right or wrong. They're just different directions, different paths, different versions of your life that each come with their own challenges, their own gifts, and their own lessons. There's no perfect choice. There is just a choice that you make and what you do after. And the sooner you let go of the idea that there is one right answer out there that you have to find, the sooner you can stop white-knuckling every decision you face and just make the call. Let me give you an example, because I think this may sound familiar to people. We've all been in that position where, you have a job and you have an opportunity for a new job. And you're considering it. And the back and forth in your head is relentless. Do I stay or do I go? What if the new job doesn't work out? What if I lose my seniority, my vacation time? What if the new place is worse than where I am now? What if I make a leap and everything falls apart? So you agonize for weeks, maybe months. And the stress of not deciding is eating you alive. And then let's say you do take the new job and it doesn't work out the way you hoped. And now you're sitting there thinking, oh, I never should have left. I should have stayed where I was. That was the wrong decision. I ruined everything. But here's what I want you to consider. What if it was never supposed to work out? What if that job was never the destination? What if it is just a stepping stone, pointing you towards something you never would have found had you stayed where you were comfortable? Maybe that job introduced you to someone who changes your life. Maybe it showed you exactly what you do not want so you can get clear on what you do. Maybe it pushed you out of your comfort zone that you needed to leave years ago. Maybe it was the thing that had to happen before the right thing could find you. You don't know. And that's the point. And this is the reframe that I think changes everything. Stop treating decisions like you're carving them into stone. Like once you choose, there is no going back. Like this one choice defines everything forever and there is no course correcting after. Because that's not how life works. That is not how decisions work. Every decision you make is just a stepping stone, just the next right move that is going to show you something, teach you something, or point you somewhere. And if it doesn't land where you thought it would, that's not failure, it's redirection. When a decision doesn't work out the way you planned, I want you to ask yourself this. Instead of beating yourself up, where is this pushing me? What is this trying to show me? What is my next best move from here? Because there's always a next move. There's always another decision. You are never stuck. You are never ruined. You are never one bad decision away from a life that cannot be recovered. You are just on a stepping stone, and the next one is right there waiting for you to look up and find it. So let's say that, okay, you made the decision, and now you're lying awake at night thinking, oh, what if I had gone the other way? What if I had taken that other job? What if I stayed in the relationship or moved to that city, said yes instead of no? What if the other choice would have been better? And I need you to hear this. You don't know that. You cannot ever know that. You're comparing your real life with all of its mess and complexity and reality to an imaginary life that exists only in your head, a fantasy, a highlight reel of a path that you never actually walked. You have no idea what the other decision would have actually looked like. You only know what you think it would have looked like. And your brain, especially when you're stressed or struggling, is going to paint the other path in the most beautiful colors, because that's what brains do. But the truth, that other decision could have been worse. It could have led you somewhere darker. It could have cost you something you can't even imagine. You don't know. You'll never know. And torturing yourself with a fantasy is not wisdom. It's suffering that you are choosing to inflict on yourself. And here's the thing that nobody tells you about making a decision. Actually making one. Committing to one. It is one of the most stress-relieving things that you can do. Think about the last time that you were agonizing over something. You're going back and forth, pros and cons, what ifs, what if that, and then you finally just decide. And even if you're not sure it was the right call, do you remember that feeling of relief, that exhale? That is what commitment does. It ends the loop. It stops the spinning. It gives your brain somewhere to land. Stress lives in uncertainty. It lives in the gap between where you are and where you're going. And a decision, even an imperfect one, closes that gap. It gives you a direction. And a direction gives you something to do with all that anxious energy instead of just sitting in it. A made decision, even a messy one, is almost always less stressful than no decision at all. I myself have made some big decisions in my life. Decisions that terrified me. Decisions that people around me questioned. Decisions that I questioned myself in the middle of the night more times than I can count. And I've done the what if thing. I have lain awake wondering if the other path would have been better, if I had stayed instead of left, if I had chose differently at this turn or that one. And what I know for sure from the other side of those decisions is that every single one of them was a stepping stone. Even the ones that hurt, even the ones that looked like mistakes. Every one of them pointed me somewhere. It taught me something, made me someone I would not otherwise be. And I would not trade that for a fantasy life that I never lived. So how do you do it? How do you make a decision without anxiety eating you alive? First, give yourself a deadline. Open-ended decisions drag on forever and create chronic low-grade stress. So give yourself a specific time to decide and honor it. Even if you don't feel ready, because you're probably never going to feel completely ready, ever. And second, get out of your head and into your gut. Your brain will spin forever. It will come up with an infinite amount of scenarios and counter scenarios and what ifs. Your gut usually knows pretty quickly. The answer you keep coming back to when you stop overthinking, that's usually worth paying some attention to. And third, ask yourself this question: which decision can I live with if it doesn't work out? Not which one is guaranteed to work out. Which one can you own? Which one will you be able to look back on and say, I made the best choice I could at the time with the information I had? That's the one. And fourth, once you decide, commit. Stop revisiting it. Stop entertaining other options. You made the call. Now just put your energy into making it work instead of second guessing whether you should have made it at all. And last, if it doesn't work out the way you planned, ask yourself where it's pointing you, because it's always pointing you somewhere. You just have to be willing to look. So this week, I want you to look at something that you've been sitting on, a decision you've been avoiding, something that you've been going back and forth on until it's stealing your sleep and your peace and your energy. And I want you to make the call. Not when you feel ready, not when you have all the information. Now. Just pick a direction. Commit to it. And if it doesn't work out exactly the way you planned, ask yourself where it's pushing you. What is it showing you? What is it teaching you? What is your next stepping stone? Because there are no wrong decisions, just different directions. And every single one of them is taking you somewhere that you need to go. You just have to trust yourself enough to take the next step. So thanks for listening to How I Unfucked My Life. Give me a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, and share this with somebody that you think might need it. And I'll see ya next week. Thanks for listening to How I Unfucked My Life. I know the work is heavy, but remember, you aren't just fighting your brain, you're learning to lead your body. You have the grit to change your mindset, and you have the biology to find your peace. And every choice you make is a step towards the life that you deserve. So stop arguing with where you've been and start deciding where you're going. See you next time.